Well, let's go back to what we were talking about a moment ago. The land issue, of course, a massive topic in the country. Slow pace of transformation as far as ownership in South Africa is concerned. I mentioned the National Communal Land Summit looking into the issue. But where are we on this? Let's get a reaction on the outcomes. It's Constance Mogale, a regular guest here on eNCA, National Coordinator for the Alliance for Rural Democracy. Hello to you, Constance. Good to have you back on eNCA. So outcomes on this, how are we feeling? More positive? Do you feel like we're getting somewhere?
Well, firstly, I'm concerned about the legal framework that we are using. We are going to use to give people customary certificates. So that is what they call it. They're not calling it title deeds now. It's customary certificate to the inner boundaries, which is the residential areas in the rural areas. So the outer boundaries, which would be the grazing fields, the roads, would be given to traditional leaders. But without a reference to some kind of a document that we can call a bill or a guiding framework, we are worried at what are we doing, and up until how far, how long is it going to take? In the discussions yesterday, there was a lot missing. One thing that is very critical for me is the women's land rights, the rights of widows, unmarried women, and orphans. If you give a title deed in a Western way where one person will be given a title deed and the name is on it, how about the rest of the family? Are we not going to experience evictions again by the same family members? Because we need a framework where those inter-household dynamics are dealt with, and we are sure that everybody's protection is guaranteed. So the women's land rights is not explicit in the discussion, in the program, and even in the representation of delegates in the summit. I was going to expect women's movements like the National Movement of Rural Women, the Rural Women's Movement, the South African Women in Development to be represented there, so that the voice of women are there. But no, women who attended are maybe from NGOs, but also from the traditional council themselves. So we are worried that people are going to be dispossessed, because if you look at the report of Motlanthe High-Level Panel and the Presidential Advisory Committee, people complained that they have experienced more evictions and dispossessions than before '94. So how are we going to make sure that these are dealt with? Then the last point is that when we don't recognize customary land rights as property rights, how are we going to respect those property rights and make sure that the rights are protected? For us, the paper doesn't matter. We need the
Oh dear, it looks like we might be starting to lose the signal to Constance Mogale. Constance, I'm going to just see if I can just take a moment. Let's see if we can get your signal back. We were beginning to lose you. I'll leave this as my last question. Signal is a little bit iffy. Just talk to me. You spoke about the legal framework around this. Of everything that you've raised, it all comes down to the ongoing criticism that it's taking far too long. In your mind, how quickly can these resolutions, can these solutions actually be put into place? This year, next year, within the next 10 years?
Well, that's a question you should have asked the minister, because for me, yesterday, as soon as yesterday, we have reference papers there, Motlanthe High-Level Panel. There was a land summit in 2005. There was other subsequent things that happened. So for me, it's not that the government doesn't know what to do. They have enacted a Traditional Leadership and Governance Framework Act, which was going to give powers of land administration and transform the apartheid tribal authorities into the traditional councils. They failed. The traditional councils that doesn't want to democratize themselves, they failed. Now they want to give them the 13% of the land. No, that is not what we are hoping for. That is not the vision that South Africa is looking for. So they failed. The act was amended 4 times, I think, but still there are traditional leaders who are who don't want to go for elections to transform as according to Section 28 of the Framework Act. And now there's this traditional leadership and cohesion leader. The traditional and cohesion leadership bill, which was supposed to give land administration and make sure that there's land recordal in the villages. But no, this is an act that is going to enable big corporates and elites to come and sign deals with an individual called the traditional leader or the king or the queen, without prior consent of the rural citizens, and continue to make their business mining or shopping centers without the people's consent. And also the title deeds is not a solution, because it is going to destroy the very fiber of the community. Because once I have title, I can sell to anyone which could not be of the community. So it is a terrible steps that they are taking. We really need to be looking at something that is written down in a form of a bill, and the Presidential Advisory Committee advised on the land records bill, the land administration record. So we cannot just do things just because the ruling party is about to go for elections. Now they are waging a carrot of land administration, land records again. Yes.
Okay, I think that's what a lot of people are suggesting could be happening here. Constance, so good to speak to you. I really appreciate your time joining us here on eNCA this morning. Constance Mogale, National Coordinator of the Alliance for Rural Democracy, a call for a bill on the land issue. But when can it be done? That's a much bigger problem.